The Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project, Hyprep, says it has successfully restored over 560 hectares of degraded mangrove ecosystem in Ogoni land, with more than 1.5 million mangroves planted under its Phase 1 cleanup program. This was revealed during a post-restoration fish stock assessment exercise in Bomu community, Okana local government area, led by the Hyprep project coordinator, Professor Nene Barini Zabi, alongside researchers from the University of Port Harcourt, Hyprep technical staff, and local fisher folks. The assessment, which is a follow-up to a study initiated by Hyprep in November 2023, is aimed at conducting a science-based evaluation of fish stock, species abundance, and biodiversity recovery in the restored ecosystem. The exercise aligns with Hyprep's commitment to restoring the hydrocarbon-impacted environment in Ogoni land, in line with the recommendations of the United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP, on Ogoni environmental remediation, using indigenous fish fencing techniques across 3 study stations in the Bomu Creek, each with varying mangrove vegetation. The study quantitatively assessed catch volume and species diversity. Findings from the assessment revealed a significant improvement in fish catch volume, size, and species abundance, indicating gradual recovery of ecosystem goods and services 1 year after the restoration intervention. Experts noted that mangrove restoration enhanced shoreline stability while providing vital breeding and feeding habitats for aquatic species. Beyond scientific outcomes, the exercise also highlighted the socio-economic and cultural benefits of environmental restoration, fostering renewed interaction between science and local traditions.
Fish stock assessment action.
At the end of the assessment, fisher folks, community women, and the Hyprep team gathered at the Bomu waterfront to share a communal feast from the day's catch, symbolizing the return of life to the creek.
The Bomu Creek is where Hyprep started a mangrove restoration project covering 560 hectares. When we started the mangrove restoration, we made sure that we incorporate the key elements of ecological restoration, not just revegetation, because we started by building the capacity of the local people that proudly call themselves mangrove vanguards. And then after building their capacity in mangrove nursery management, planting and monitoring, we empowered them with grants to set up their individual nurseries. Interestingly, those 90 vanguards trained members of their families, their friends, and relatives using a mangrove restoration manual. So in total, they were able to train additional 305 nursery owners who also set up their individual nurseries. So we had excess of mangrove seedlings for our restoration project. In fact, I can boldly say that the Ogoni youths and women now have the capacity to nurse mangrove seedlings that will be able to restore degraded mangroves in the Niger Delta. But now that we are restoring the creek, having restored part of the mangroves, it's really work in progress. We will not say we are yet there. So, but we've achieved tremendously and we are still pushing. We will not rest on our oars. We will never be complacent. We will reconstruct and we will restore the environment to the pre-contamination stage. Because it's in the memory of some of us. The image is there. And so I'm super excited, seeing a lot of people coming to the waterfront. When we have not started restoration, you will not see people gather here. It was like a deserted place. It was like a deserted place. But now, because they cannot, we have decontaminated the sediment. So the stench of oil is no longer in the air. That's why people can come here, sit down and socialize. That's why this guy is able to set up a business here. And now you can see the number of persons here feasting with us. So today we caught these fishes. We have collected all our scientific measurements that will be useful for our comparative analysis. We've identified all the species we caught today. And we are cooking. We've roasted some. And interestingly, we use our cook stove to roast the fish. You know, because some times ago we distributed 200 cook stove to critical stakeholders. And who are the critical stakeholders? The fisher folks, the periwinkle pickers, those who harvest wood, mangrove wood, as a source of livelihood. Those are the critical stakeholders. And they are the greatest beneficiaries of the restoration we are doing.
An indigene of the community, microbiologist, and a team member, Ulo Leziga Matthew, expressed excitement over the visible benefits of the cleanup and mangrove restoration efforts so far.
Today, we are in Bomu community carrying out a fish study to find out the impact of the newly, mangrove revegetation on fish population and diversity in Bomu community. So far, Bomu community has been one of the beneficiaries of the ongoing hydrocarbon pollution reduction projects. We've been blessed with 10 shoreline remediation lots, 9 mangrove revegetation lots. We also benefited from a water project which has long been commissioned, and all of these projects are presently, have impacted directly on the lives and the economy of our people. In the course of, carrying out these projects, over 80% of the workers, were employed from Bomu community. All the people who had their jobs were paid directly, and it improved their lives as, individuals, and also had impact on their families.
Also speaking, consultant and subject matter expert Professor Franklin Tanier disclosed that the year-long Mangrove Vanguard training recorded a 98% revegetation success rate with encouraging signs of ecosystem recovery.
I think we started, that was 2022. We started the training the community youth and women. We call them the Mangrove Vanguard, because we assume that after that training, they are the person that will protect the mangrove. And after the training, we allowed them, and they did fantastic job by supplying all the seedlings that the contractors used for the restoration projects. And not just, and because they were well trained, the level of success was, we recorded 98% success in the revegetation of the mangrove. And not just that, there is serious ecosystem recovery following that mangrove restoration.
A fisheries expert and team member, Dr. Wasili Silvanus, emphasized the importance of fish stock assessment in measuring the impact of environmental restoration on aquatic life.
The essence of the fish stock assessment was to establish a baseline study before the replanting of the polluted environment with mangroves. When we started, some species were actually missing from the environment. That was last year, sometime last year, 2024. We carried out a stock assessment, and I think we discovered about 13 species or thereabout. Some key stone species like the mud skipper, periwinkles, that support the local economy were missing. We came back after a year, that is 2025, and not too surprising anyway, we were able to record an abundance of species. The species composition increased, and then periwinkle and mud skipper. These are key stone species that were absent in the initial phase of the baseline study reappeared in the environment. We also went around the shoreline recently, and we recorded a massive recovery of some of the species that were absent ab initio. So to a large extent, the remediation effort is yielding fruit. And I think, in fact, when we came here last time, we saw the locals picking periwinkles, which was not the case when we started the project. So I think Hyprep is in the right direction.
From the Hyprep fish stock assessment exercise at Bomo Creek, Ogoni land, I am Ekikere Udom, reporting for Box TV News.